Well, I think this is really the climb everybody has been waiting for, Paul, and immediately the yellow jersey is there, the polka dot jersey is there, and Casagrande is there, and Rees is there.
Well, that's remarkable because, Phil, this is the mecca of the climbs for all of the climbers. Every climber wants to win here on Alpe d'Huez, and I'm quite sure Richard Virenque does as well, because he's never won a stage of the mountains in the Alps.
That's right, but he has won 2 stages in the Pyrenees as he now dances behind Jan Ullrich. This rider certainly isn't afraid to carry that maillot jaune right at the front of affairs, is he?
Well, it's amazing. He's now the leader of the Tour de France, and I would have thought that Bjarne Riis would have come to the front to help him out just a little bit, because he does need some encouragement. He does need somebody alongside him just to say, look, the team's here, we're still supporting you.
He's still looking for Bjarne Riis. He constantly looks over his shoulder to see where Riis is. He is an amazing rider. It's almost as if he's the reluctant leader of the Tour.
It's very strange to see him riding like this. There on the right-hand side is Elefantino, Marco Pantani, now nicknamed also El Pirato, the pirate. And he really is trying to put some pressure on these riders. Now he moves to the front, and Riis still looking very comfortable.
Well, he too has scored big victories in the Pyrenees, now looking for a win in the Alps as well. This is a savage acceleration by Pantani. This is on the early slopes of the climb as well. Virenque is the answer to it. He's right with him, but I wonder what damage he's doing behind. Everybody has filed out behind Marco Pantani. Ullrich is there as well. We saw Pantani throw his hat off just before he came through to start this acceleration. And this is the secret of good climbers, Paul, the way they can accelerate.
Well, it's not just that, it's the way they can accelerate again and again. And it's interesting to see this time Bjarne Riis is there. He's sitting on the back of this group of 4 riders, so it may well be that after the tough time he had in the Pyrenees, he has finally recuperated.
And Casagrande and Escartin are the losers there. The man we've also not mentioned, Abraham Olano. We haven't seen anything of him since the real attack started on this climb. Now we've got these 4 riders going up the slopes. I have never seen so many people on this mountain, and I've seen every climb here except the one of Fausto Coppi. I'm not quite as old as 1952.
But it was amazing driving here, you know, 40 kilometres, 25 miles of traffic jam just to get to the bottom of the slope here. It is remarkable. I think this is the greatest Alpe d'Huez we've witnessed in these recent years.
A perfect day as well. It's very often cold on this mountain at the top, but it's beautiful today. You can see the shadows of the riders. Now Pantani is setting the pace and looking for help from no one at the moment. And Ullrich, who started the tempo at the bottom, now content to follow. These 4 riders looking pretty solid just now.
Well, Pantani's great to see him back. There's the earring that's earned him the nickname of the pirate. He's just getting into a rhythm here, just pushing the pressure on everybody else. Looks over his shoulders to see what sort of damage he's doing. But, you know, he really is flying, and I think most certainly he's back. And I was quite convinced after that crash he had in the Tour of Italy that we wouldn't see a great Marco Pantani here in the Tour de France. But I think he certainly is back, and he's great.
I don't think anybody seriously thought he would ever come back from the crash he had in Milan-Turin, which caused all of his problems, but he has come back. He is very much a part of this Tour again. Remember, he's had a 3rd place finish in the Tour de France, as well as winning a couple of stages.
So it's amazing to watch the difference between the co-climbers at the front, Marco Pantani and Richard Virenque, bobbing around on the machines, using the upper part of their body to try and keep the gears going around, while all the time Ullrich is sitting down.
A glance at the second group here. We've just seen Olano. There's Jimenez, the champion of Spain. There's Olano, 151. Escartin is here. Now this is interesting. That's Laurent Madouas also in this group. Now look at this, Paul. We've gone back to the leaders just in time, because it looks as though they've cracked Riis.
Well, I think he's put the white flag up there because he couldn't stay with the pace being set by the 2 climbers. He's just going to ride at his own pace now and leave it up to Jan Ullrich in the yellow jersey to mark the 2 best climbers of this year's Tour de France, Marco Pantani and Richard Virenque. But still, Ullrich looking very calm, sitting down. It's amazing the power he uses when he climbs.
He's such a deceptive bike rider, sitting there solid as a horse. Now, further down, number 1, last year's winner, is in desperate trouble yet again on the mountain she loved so much last year, where he gained all of his time in the Alps. Now in the Alps, on the first day of serious climbs, like it was in the Pyrenees first day, Bjarne Riis is in difficulty. There's the flags that will cheer him on. The official figure coming out of Denmark was 30,000 spectators are all heading for the Alpe. Defending champion of Alpe d'Huez. And Bjarne Riis is the defending champion of the Tour de France. Now he knows the situation he's in. He knows that he's hitting just about his limit. Now he's going to have to settle down and hope he recovers as the climb goes on.
That's the only thing he can do. Find a rhythm that's comfortable for himself and hope that by the top of the climb he doesn't lose too much time. And these men at the front, though, really are flying up the mountain. The record as well for the ascent of the climb here held by Marco Pantani himself when he won the climb just a couple of years ago.
And that's circa 38 minutes as Pantani continues to keep the tempo here. And the crowd you can hear cheering all of the way, but this little climber staying out of the saddle now, riding on the bottom of the handlebars. No relaxed climbing at all from him. He's just keeping the rhythm high. He actually looks as though he might be causing a little bit of distress here to Jan Ullrich. He doesn't look as cool all of a sudden.
He is starting to bob and weave just a little bit, but it's amazing. Pantani has not asked anyone for any help. He's put everyone under pressure, and the man who thought he could ride well on the Alpe d'Huez, Luc Leblanc, also falling away from the leader. He's a long way behind.
Well, this hasn't been the season for poor old Luc Leblanc. He was looking set, and oh crikey, back to the leaders, and it looks as though Ullrich has cracked, unless Virenque opened the door and pulled round behind him.
Well, I think Virenque just couldn't stay on the wheel of Marco Pantani, and the reaction now has come by Jan Ullrich, and he's closed down on Pantani, the climber, so it just goes to show how strong the man from Germany is. To respond to an attack like that really is quite remarkable.
This is a superb piece of tempo riding, but very briefly, as I was saying about Luc Leblanc, he had all set to finish third in the Tour of Italy. He had that spectacular crash in the time trial there, coming down a mountain, and I don't think he's really refound himself at all. He's struggled every day in this event.
The one man struggling now, Phil, is Richard Virenque. In fact, that acceleration out of the corner there has put the climber from France into difficulties, and he couldn't stay with the two leaders, so now just two men up the road, Marco Pantani in the yellow jersey of Jan Ullrich.
Well, the one thing that Richard can be sure of is plenty of support, but he's losing ground here, and this is the first time we've seen a little climber from France be attacked as well. But really, Pantani at 10 kilometres to go has just simply stayed out of the saddle. Now he's starting to go in and out of the saddle. He's kept the rhythm so high, and they've all tried and so far failed to match him. Only Ullrich again surviving.
Well, he'll get a lot of confidence out of that, because I think the man he will have been a little worried about on the climb of Alpe d'Huez is Richard Virenque. Once again, he gets out of the saddle, he accelerates, trying to put the pressure on Ullrich, because I think before the summit he'd like to get rid of this man from Germany. But look at the face on Richard Virenque. He's suffering like a dog, and all he can do now is just hope that he can pull himself back.
Well, he knows he has a little bit of time in hand, and it's probably just as well, because I think he's finally decided to let the little pirate escape. He's 9 minutes 11 seconds behind Jan Ullrich in the overall classification, lying 5th at the moment, and so every pedal rev now will gain time on everybody in the Tour.
Well, you see how Pantani went round the wide part of the corner there. It was not quite as steep. He came out of it, accelerated away, and the gap opened up immediately. Ullrich isn't panicking, though. He's just sitting there, setting a nice pace for himself, making sure that Pantani doesn't open up the gap too rapidly.
So Marco Pantani is doing what I think just about everybody on this mountain came to see him do. This magic little climber go away from the rest of the race. He is now pedaling a higher place in the overall classification for sure. He's not going to damage the lead of Jan Ullrich today. Ullrich perhaps wisely knows that. He's not crucifying himself, trying to hold the back wheel of a man who is simply on a mission.
And interestingly enough, that Roberto Conti rides on the same team now as Marco Pantani. Worked very well this year in the Tour of Italy, and I think he's having his best Tour de France in several years as well.
But Pantani now, this victory is going to be equally as special to him as Zabel's revenge on his disqualification last week was to him, because this means he is back as a big-time climber. He didn't have time to see himself on the big screen there as he swung round the left-hand bend, but now he's going to win this stage the second time in succession, although there's a gap of 1 year in between. Marco Pantani of Mercatoni Uno will be the winner at Alpe d'Huez today. He will gain time on everyone. He will climb up the overall classification as well. This is going to be a great feeling for him. He gets the victory, 203 kilometres covered. He's the first to the top of the Alp, and the gap is around about half a minute for the next man. The Maillot Jaune of the Tour de France, Jan Ullrich, is coming home, and Ullrich again confirming he is most definitely the man to beat in this year's Tour, and I don't think anybody can or will. He grits his teeth. He really has suffered on this climb, but now he's become a complete all-round bike rider. 46 seconds the gap.
It's amazing he still had time to look over his shoulder to see what the time gap was. Richard Virenque's failed a little bit over the final kilometre. He's going to go almost 1.5 minutes behind the winner, Marco Pantani, but I think he'll be more worried about the fact of how much time he's lost to Jan Ullrich.